Yes, Manoj. Shall we start the class? Okay. Yes. In last class, we have discussed how to locate the center of volumes of some simple objects by method of integration that we have discussed. And here in this particular slide, I have listed out some symmetric shapes. Let us look at that rectangular prism or rectangular parallelepiped. Volume is A into B into C, and just by inspection of symmetry, you can write down the central coordinates are A by 2, B by 2 and C by 2. This you are not done just by inspection because it is symmetric about all three central axes. Symmetric about all three central axes. And let us look at this cylinder, circular cylinder. Volume is pi r square L. L is the length of the cylinder, and it is symmetric about x is 0 because it is symmetric about y-axis. You have y coordinate, that is L by 2. Other two coordinates are 0, right? Your cylinder is oriented symmetric about y-axis. So obviously z and x coordinates will be 0. X is 0 and z is 0, and yc will be half of that. Okay. And hemisphere, you see that hemisphere is located symmetric about z-axis, right? And zc will be 3r by 8. This you have done, right? It is symmetric about z-axis. Obviously, other two coordinates are 0. xc and yc will be 0, and your z coordinate, central z coordinate is 3r by 8 from the diameter, from the xy plane. Okay, this is this derivation you have done. All right, this derivation you have done in last class. Cylinder and rectangular prism you did not do because from symmetry you are writing straight away, is it not? And whereas for hemisphere you have done the derivation, and even for cone also you have done. So your cone symmetric about y-axis. See that. Just observe the figure. Symmetric about y-axis, and xc and zc will be 0, and you have only yc, and from apex it is 3h by 4, and from base it is h by 4. From base it is h by 4, and from apex it is 3h by 4. So these formulas will be using to locate the center of the volume. Okay. Now we'll solve some problems on center of volume of composite volumes, composite bodies. Okay. All of you, please note down this problem. A solid body, it consists of a cylinder and a right circular cone of height h, which is given equal to the base of the right circular cylinder. Calculate, the dimensions are very clearly given. Okay, calculate the distance of the center of mass. Center of mass is nothing but center of volume of the solid from its plane face, from the bottom. H is given and small h is also given, right? You see that it is symmetric about y-axis. Obviously, you have only y coordinate. You are interested to calculate y coordinate. Okay. Write down the expression for the cylinder volume, pi r square h. H is given, right? And as you know, y coordinate for the cylinder is L by 2, that is 30 by 2. Similarly, for a cone, volume 2, V2 is equals to pi by 3 pi r square h. Of course, h is given, that is 130. And y2 is from the base 30 plus h by 4 from the base radius is h by 4, that is 120 by 4. So all put together it is 60, and substitute into your formula, and r gets cancelled both in numerator and denominator, and you have the centroidal coordinate of the composite value is 40.7. Okay. Please note down the problem. Simple formula. This formula you have to remember. Y bar is equals to y1 v1 plus y2 v2 divided by v1 plus v2, where v1 and v2 are the volumes and y1 and y2 are the centroidal coordinates from the reference plane. Okay. In this radius, you see that radius is not given. It gets cancelled both in numerator and denominator. Radius is not required. Okay. So y bar is 40.7 mm. Like this, you have simple problems on composite values. Okay. Please note down the problem. It's completed. Shall I proceed to next problem? Let us do one more problem, and with that we'll be concluding our chapter 3 today, and immediately we'll be switching over to. Oh, somebody is asking previous slide. Yes, Pawan Kumar. Previous slide, I did not ask you to note down anything. You have listed out the results. Cylinder and your prism, rectangular prism, symmetric. And these two derivations you have done. I just listed out which you have in your notes. You please don't note down this. This is not required. Okay. This is not required. Just I am reviewing what we have discussed in previous classes, and from these results we will be solving the problems. Shall I proceed to next problem? Yes. Okay. Please note down, all of you. Please note down another problem. A body consists of a right circular solid cone of height 40 mm and radius 30 mm, placed on a solid hemisphere of radius 30 mm of the same material. Find the position of a center of gravity of the body. Very simple problem. So divide this into two parts. Bottom is hemisphere, and above that you have a cone, and call this hemisphere as 1 and cone as 2. So write the expression for volume 1 V1, 2 by 3 pi r cube, and Y1 is from the bottom, it is 5r by 8. From the diameter 3r by 8, that you know very well, that we have derived. Okay. From diameter it is 3r by 8, and from the other end it is 5r by 8. Okay. That is your hemisphere and centroidal coordinate. Similarly, for cone volume is 5 by 3 r square h, and by 2 you have to measure from the bottom, right, from axis of symmetry, from point D. So 30, that is the length, that is the radius, plus h by 4, 40 by 4, and substitute into the formula. Y bar is equals to V1 Y1 plus V2 Y2 by V1 plus V2, and you are going to get the centroidal coordinate, because it's symmetric about y-axis and other two coordinates are 0, and you have only y coordinate, and that you can locate by using this formula. Okay, so with this problem, your unit 3 is completed. All of you please complete this, and we'll switch over to unit 4, that is moment of inertia. Okay, yes. Unit 4, moment of inertia. The moment you look at this title of the unit, as you know, you'll come across with two types of moment of inertia, that is area moment of inertia and mass moment of inertia. Yes, somebody is asking, Manoj. Is it Manoj or? Yes. Yes, unit 4 now. We are about to start moment of inertia. Somebody is asking previous slide, and that is the reason I just went back. Okay. Completed. Sonu. Yes, roll number 82. Sonu. Okay. Moment of inertia. This moment of inertia, you have two types of moment of inertia. One is area moment of inertia, and second one is mass moment of inertia, right? And second bit is with your end examinations. Second bit is with your end examinations. Your end examinations and mid examinations will be on the same day. Morning probably will be writing your end exam and followed by your second mid exam. Okay, this is something like that, and that is in the, yes, D point is the reference, correct. D point is, that is a horizontal line is the reference, horizontal line. Draw a line passing through D, and D is the reference. You are locating the central coordinate from D only. Okay. Yes. And what is this area moment of inertia and what is this mass moment of inertia? So let us understand briefly the significance of moment of inertia, both the moment of inertia, and we will proceed to the beginning area moment of inertia and then mass moment of inertia. Okay. Yes. Significance of area moment of inertia. That means where this moment of inertia is useful, or what is the importance of this moment of inertia. You please note down, this is one very important slide. The area moment of inertia of a beam, cross-sectional areas, measures the beam's ability to resist bending. The larger the moment of inertia, the less beam will bend. That means indirectly here the statement gives you that you are going to measure the strength of the beam. That means, so area moment of inertia concept is very much useful in your strength of materials subject, right? The moment you have a more moment of inertia, area moment of inertia, that means for a given cross section area, let us say you have more moment of inertia and less moment of inertia depending upon the orientation of your beam. how this beam is oriented, right? And obviously you can conclude that in which orientation you have more value of moment of inertia, so that beam is said to be stronger, right? And you see that the moment of inertia, area moment of inertia, is a geometrical property of a beam, and of course if it is small and smallest moment of inertia about any axis passes through the centroid. Of course, that is a general concept. Okay, that means you have minimum moment of inertia about the central axis when compared with the moment of inertia about any axis parallel to which central moment of inertia is always minimum. Okay, so to understand this, let me show a beam diagram. I hope all of you have noted down the first statement, that is enough. Okay, the area moment of inertia of a beam's cross section measures the beam ability to resist bending, means it is going to measure the strength of the material, right? So area moment of inertia concept is very important in strength of materials. In order to evaluate, that means what is that conclusion? If a particular cross section area of a beam which have more moment of inertia, more area moment of inertia, is said to be stronger section or stronger orientation about that. And I can give you one simple example. Railway cross section you might have seen, I section. Railway track cross section is I section, and usually the I cross section will have for a given cross section area more value of moment of inertia, and that is the reason we call it a stronger section. And in certain critical applications we go for I cross section. Even in beams and railway track cross section are made up of I cross section, I, your letter I. Okay, all of you please note down the first statement, that is enough. The area moment of inertia of a beam cross sectional area measures the beam's ability to resist bending. To resist bending means nothing but strength. So it is going to offer resistance for the bending, right? That you are going to see in detail in your strength of materials by means of bending equation. You are going to derive bending equation for a beam and you are going to calculate the strength of a particular cross section by calculating the moment of inertia, again in strength of materials also. Okay, so this is the significance of your moment of inertia, or to be specific, area moment of inertia. Let me show one simple example. You see this 2 inch by 6 inch board placed on its wide edge. You see that wide edge, and that means you are using like a beam, right? Load is acting exactly in the middle of the beam, and you can find that large deflections for this orientation, right? So this is the orientation, this is the cross section, right? And the same beam, same cross section beam, if you turn 90 degrees and if you keep orientation like this, 2 inch by 6 inch board, and if you apply the load, same load, obviously you have a small deflections, large deflections, small deflections. What makes the difference? You see that orientation of the beam. The given cross section area is constant, but depending upon the orientation of the beam, so one particular cross section area orientation will be having more value of moment of inertia, area moment of inertia, which is said to be very strong cross section or stronger orientation. I have shown you the cross section also, you can see above and below. So this is the connected with this cross section area, and you can see that large deflection. You can see the same load if it is applied like this, that means you are keeping that your board placed on narrow edge. You are keeping a narrow edge and here keeping a wide edge. That is the difference. So that means you are only changing the orientation. By changing the orientation, you see that your moment of inertia is also going to change. That is area moment of inertia of this cross section of the beam, and this particular cross section area or the moment of inertia of this particular cross-section area is more, and this is said to be small deflections. When will occur small deflections? When it is stronger. You see that, observe carefully, the cross-section area is same, the same beam, right? And the same load. You are applying in one orientation and another orientation. And depending upon the orientation of the beam, you can observe that moment of inertia value is going to change. Remember that orientation is changed, but area is also same. Remember that there is no change in cross-section area. What is the change? The orientation is changed. Once the orientation is changed, obviously the moment of inertia is also going to change, and which orientation will have more value of moment of inertia is said to be stronger section. Is it clear? So that is the significance or importance of your area moment of inertia. Okay. So please note down this. Please note down both the figures and cross section also. So that gives you much more clarity in understanding the moment of inertia, how it is going to change. You are calculating the moment of inertia in first figure about x. Yes, force applied on the length, exactly. It's not, you cannot say length. You see that it is orientation is changed. So initially the beam is resting on the wide edge. You can say there are two edges. This is wide edge on width and thickness. Now this is standing on the width. Here it is standing on the thickness. That is only the change. You can see pictorial view. Clearly it is visible. Right? Yes, load is same, the cross section is also same, and only change is it's not at ends, both are same, simply supported. Let us assume that the end connections, now ends are supported. Both ends are supported in both the cases, right? Some support you have, roller support, let us say. And you are applying exactly in the middle, in the midpoint, right? And when you apply the load in the middle, so when it is supported on the width, you see that wide edge, I can say. It's very clearly marked. You have thickness is 2 inches and width is 6 inches. Now it is resting on the 6 inches width. And yes, exactly same principle, same concept. Same concept is being used. And you see that when you change the orientation, when they change the orientation in second figure, it is resting on the thickness. And once it is resting on the thickness, what is that it is going to change? Same length of the beam, same load, same cross section area, only change is orientation. Only change is orientation. So that orientation makes that your moment of inertia value is different, and that moment of inertia in second case it is more, and that is the reason you have small deflections. You can observe that clearly given that small deflections. In first figure, large deflections. When a section is a beam is strong, you have small deflections. Okay. No, there is no conservation of mass. There is no conservation of mass. Simply the concept is moment of inertia. The moment of inertia is going to depend on the orientation. We see that both the cross section areas are same. Both the cross section areas are same. Right? Dimensions are same. Length is same. Everything is same. What is the change? The orientation. You have turned this particular beam by 90 degrees in second case and applied the same load, and you are witnessing with the small deflections. And when small deflections are occurring with the same load, what does it mean? This orientation is stronger. This orientation is stronger when compared with the first orientation. Is it clear? So this is the significance, or you can say importance of area moment of inertia. The moment you understand this, it's very clear that yes, your it depends on your orientation. It is the property, you can say, geometrical property. Moment of inertia is a geometrical property. That means it depends upon the how this area is oriented. It is not that magnitude of the area only. Magnitude of the area is the same in both the cases. You see that it is same in both the cases, right? It is shown differently, but its name here also same. Whatever you have width, here it is width. Yes, obviously, depending upon the orientation, you have different values of moment of inertia. Pavan Kumar, you have raised the right issue exactly. Your moment of inertia is going to change on the orientation. That means with the second orientation, you have more value of moment of inertia, area moment of inertia. Here it is less. This here it is more. That is the reason it is stronger section with orientation, I can say. Okay. Stronger section with the orientation, proper orientation. Orientation is also important. Okay. You can observe that depending upon the orientation, how it is going to change. All right. Shall I proceed to next slide? Now let us see the significance of mass moment of inertia by next slide. Okay. What is the significance of mass moment of inertia? If you look at this moment of inertia, mass moment of inertia is defined as it is the resistance offered by the body for the angular motion is called mass moment of inertia. The equation is also given. The symbol used is I. In both the cases it is I only, remember that. Right? I is equals to mr square. Whereas in area moment of inertia, what is the equation? AR square. In place of mass you have A, area. Right? But it is prerequisite for the dynamics of rigid body. You see that moment of inertia is a quantity expressing, right, the body's tendency to resist angular acceleration. That means it is the resistance offered by the body for the angular motion, that is angular acceleration, is called mass moment of inertia. Simply, it is the resistance offered by the body for the angular motion is moment of inertia. That means it is a dynamic condition. The body is in motion. Is it that area moment of inertia is connected with the dynamics? No. Area moment of inertia is connected with statics part of it, because you are talking about something about beams. Beam means it is at rest position. So your area moment of inertia is connected with the statics part of it, and your mass moment of inertia is the prerequisite for the dynamics of rigid body, right? And I can show you that how exactly your area moment of inertia going to influence your dynamics of rigid body in next slide. All of you please note down this significance. Your significance of mass moment of inertia, you can understand that it is the resistance offered by the body for the rotation or angular motion is called mass moment of inertia. Okay. Please note down this definition of moment of inertia, specifically mass moment of inertia. Okay. Generally we call moment of inertia, but depends when it is a body, it is mass moment of inertia. When it is with respect to a cross section or surface area, it is area moment of inertia. That you have to understand with regard to the problem. Okay. All of you please note down. Moment of inertia is a quantity expressing body's tendency to resist angular acceleration, nothing but rotation. Yes, somebody is asking some doubt. 56. Yes, you please note down. Mass moment of inertia is the resistance offered by the body for the rotation of a rigid body. Mass moment of inertia is the resistance offered by the body for rotation of a rigid body. It is the resistance. That means the body, you are assuming that it is rotating, and whatever that resistance offered by the body is called mass moment of inertia. And the magnitude of the mass moment of inertia is simply mr square, mass of the body, and r is the distance from the axis of rotation. Usually it is the radius of gyration. R is the radius of gyration, or it is called mean radius, you can say. Okay, please note down this. And I would like to show next slide how it is important in calculating various dynamic parameters. Yes, k square, you are very correct. K is the symbol used for radius of gyration, right? Standard symbol for radius of gyration. It is mk square. And where area moment of inertia, it is ak square. A is the area and k is the radius of gyration. Conceptually, radius of gyration is same for area moment of inertia as well as mass moment of inertia. Okay, shall we proceed to next slide? Have you noted down? Yes, you are very correct. It is mk square, rule number 75. Yes. Let us see that where it is useful. Your mass moment of inertia, which is shown with symbol I. You see that linear, when the body is undergoing linear motion, F is equals to mass into linear acceleration A. And if you apply, when a body is undergoing rotation, let us say, angular, so the torque T is equals to I into alpha, where I is the mass moment of inertia, which is shown with red color, you can see. Torque, that it is not tau, you please write down torque, a capital T only. Symbol given is the tau. Tau is for shear stress, you please note down capital T. Torque T is equals to I into alpha. Okay, and immediately below that it is given for linear momentum. Linear momentum represented with the P is equals to mass into velocity, right? Angular momentum L is equals to I times omega, where I is the mass moment of inertia. You observe carefully, wherever your angular motion is connected, you have mass moment of inertia, and wherever you have linear is connected, you have mass only. Okay, observe carefully. Wherever you have the rotation or angular motion is connected or concerned, you have this mass moment of inertia term, right? And similarly for work energy also, it is not tau, capital T into theta, work done. Torque multiplied by theta is equals to change in kinetic energy. It is work energy principle. Linear is force multiplied by the displacement is equals to change in linear kinetic energy, that is half mv square. You observe carefully, in each and every equation I is shown with red color, that is mass moment of inertia. So these are the various applications of your mass moment of inertia, or you can say the significance of mass moment of inertia. Okay, you please note down this slide, all the equations. You please note down all these equations. Both. Just okay. Shall I switch to next slide? Yes. Now, oh, Sirisha, right? Please note down. You please replace the tau symbol with capital T. Tau is for shear stress. It is not a standard symbol. Wrongly it is given. It's a standard one. You please write down it as capital T. Torque. force and torque, linear momentum and angular momentum, P and L, linear kinetic energy and angular kinetic energy, linear work done, work energy and angular work energy, right? So you can observe clearly, you can witness that your mass moment of inertia, the significance of mass moment of inertia in rotation of the rigid bodies. In rotation of the rigid bodies. Delta is change in energy. Delta nothing but change. Delta symbol indicates a change in energy. Delta is change in energy. Change in energy. Here also change in energy. Okay, shall I proceed? What do you say? Okay. Yes. Now we'll be discussing in the beginning area moment of inertia because it's very important as far as our strength of metals is concerned, or design area of mechanical engineering concerned. It plays a vital role. Area moment of inertia plays a vital role in the design field in strength of materials. Okay, so that we'll be discussing in the beginning, and this is the dynamics part of it, rotation of rigid bodies. Okay, so that will be second topic of your discussion. Okay, so let us understand the moment of inertia by integration. It is area moment of inertia. So your area is in the plane of xy. You please note on this simple diagram, right? And how to select a elemental area dA. So this strip which is shown with the green color, it is dA, and it is at a distance x and y from the x and y reference axis, and your moment of inertia is nothing but moment of area. It is also called second moment of area. Okay. Yes. Don't note down this everything in this. Okay. Just note down the figure. Just note down the figure and note down the last two equations. Iyy is equals to sigma dA into x square, and Ixx is equals to sigma dA into y square. So we'll be using sigma and we'll be using some integration symbol also. Here conceptually the area is divided into some simple areas. You can see that division lines are also given. If we sum up all this, that is what is sigma. Okay, you please note down this figure and note down these two equations only. Don't note down this total description which is not required. Okay, note down the title moment of inertia by integration, and this elemental area is very small, right? Then you are going to do integration of it. Okay, so shall I proceed to next slide? You please note down this particular slide and this diagram also. Both reflect same. The product of the elemental area and the square of this perpendicular distance between the centroid of area and the axis of reference is moment of inertia. That means it's you see that y dA times y, that is y square dA. So moment of area, or it is moment of area, or second moment of area, or it is also called moment of inertia. Moment of inertia term we are using, inertia is connected with the dynamics part of it. In previous slide, please don't note everything, not required. You please note down only diagram, right? And the last two equations, Iyy and Ixx. Iyy, by this double subscript we are using, which indicates moment of area or second moment of area. So Iyy indicate that it is a second moment of area. Symbolically, it is used double subscript. So you are writing the moment of area twice about an axis. That is the reason Yy or Xx. Okay. Please don't write all this theory part, whatever it is given. I am just asking you to, yes, Moment of area is correct. Second moment of area or moment of area. Why we call moment of area? Moment of area, because you are writing, you see, x times dA is first moment of area, and x of x dA will be second moment of area. That means you are writing the moment of area twice about an axis. Moment of area and moment of area is nothing but moment of inertia, or you can call it as moment of area also, right? So in next slide you can see you have selected a elemental area dA, and with respect to xy reference plane, and now we have used that ixx or iyy is equals to same equations, integral y square dA and x square dA. You see that you calculate iy, your x will be there, x times x square times dA square x square. Always it is a positive term. You can observe from just from these equations, it's a mathematical equation. Okay. Yes, you please note down completely this slide. You please note down this slide. The product of the elemental area and square of the perpendicular distance. Right? The product of elemental area and square of the perpendicular distance between the center of area and reference is called moment of inertia. Please note down completely this slide. Everything in this you please note down, including diagram. You please note down diagram also. Okay. Okay. Shall I proceed? Yes. Of course, same. Yeah, we just have taken this slide. You can use even single subscript also, nothing wrong in this. IXX or IX. IXX or I single subscript also valid. That is also a standard symbol for the moment of inertia. I stands for inertia, moment of inertia, area moment of inertia. Area is with respect to an area, cross section area, surface area, right? You can use IXX or even you can use single subscript also, IYY or IY. Okay. Completed? Please communicate through chat box. The moment you complete it, you please convey message. Yes. I'm proceeding to the next slide. So this you need not note down next slide. Just I have shown IX single subscript. This is also correct. Just to make a difference, notation you can understand. And this is one important slide. You please note down. Somebody is asking how it is second moment of area. It's very clearly given. It is also called second moment of area because first moment of elemental area is elemental area into y and dA into x, and if it is again multiplied by the distance, we get the second moment of elemental area, which is indicated with dA into y times y, nothing but dA y square, and again dA into x, it is dA x square. You please note down this important information. How it is the second moment of area very clearly mentioned in this particular slide. Okay. Please note down. So second moment of area or moment of area and moment of inertia all are same, right? Actually, it is statics part of it. Strictly speaking, you have to call it as second moment of area only, because the expression is very similar to your mass moment of inertia. and that is the reason you are calling it as moment of inertia. With identical or similarity with the mass moment of inertia, you are calling this as inertia. Otherwise, it is a static condition. When it is at rest, can you call it as inertia? Is there any resistance for the motion? No. So because of this mathematical similarity between the expression for area moment of inertia and mass moment of inertia, you are calling it as moment of inertia. That you have to understand very clearly. Okay. Now let us proceed to next slide, and in this you can see moment of inertia of a plane area is two types you have, that is area moment of inertia and polar moment of inertia. Area moment of inertia is nothing but moment of inertia about a reference line which is in the same plane of area, Polar moment of inertia is the moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the area. That you have to understand very clearly. Moment of inertia of a plane area about an axis which is in the same plane, which is in the plane of area, is called area moment of inertia. And about an axis which is perpendicular to the area, then it is called polar moment of inertia. Polar means perpendicular. That axis, you can call it as, if area is in xy plane, your z axis becomes a polar moment of inertia. That means if you calculate the moment of inertia about z axis, it will be polar moment of inertia. Is it clear? Let your area is in xy plane. If you calculate the moment of inertia about x axis or y axis, it is area moment of inertia. Or if it is about z axis, then it is a polar moment of inertia. Okay. Yes. What is this polar moment of inertia? You just note down the definition. Yes, it is also called very correct. Shaker, it's correct. It is called perpendicular axis theorem. Polar moment of inertia is also called perpendicular axis theorem. So that we are going to discuss in next slide. And you please note down the definition of polar moment of inertia. Polar area moment of inertia of a beam, cross-section area, measures beam ability to resist torsion. That means, so this particular parameter, polar moment of inertia, is useful to calculate the strength for the torsion, and area moment of inertia, strength for the bending. Remember that when a shaft is subjected to torque, rotation, so that resistance you can calculate by means of polar moment of inertia. So this particular slide gives you the importance or significance of polar moment of inertia, that you can understand. Okay, polar moment of inertia is nothing but it is the ability of the material to resist the torsion or torque. Okay, that means you are going to calculate the torsional resistance of a material, and it is indirectly give the strength of materials again. Okay, larger the polar moment of inertia, less the beam will twist. That means it's more stronger. Okay, so this particular slide gives you the significance of polar moment of inertia. Is it clear? You please write down as significance. It is same as your perpendicular axis theorem, Chandrasekhar. Polar moment of inertia and perpendicular axis theorem both are same. Okay. So we are defining with respect to polar moment of inertia, and of course we are discussing that particular theorem also. Okay. I hope you have noted down. Then proceed to the next slide. Yes, this is what is the moment of polar moment of inertia. Nothing but your perpendicular axis theorem. You can write down polar moment of inertia as well as perpendicular axis theorem. Your z axis is perpendicular to area, no? You see this. So from this particular slide, again note down the diagram. Polar moment of inertia is an important parameter in problems solving torsion of cylindrical shafts and rotation of the slabs. So it is usually represented by J naught. It is polar moment of inertia, J naught, and it is perpendicular to your xy plane. You can call it as IZ also, nothing wrong in that. J naught is standard symbol, and you can represent it as IZ also. Along this the axis which is perpendicular to both x and y is nothing but z axis. Okay, so that you are writing it as perpendicular axis theorem. Both are same. So polar moment of inertia is related to rectangular moment of inertia. You see that? You please note on the diagram. Diagram is very important. You have selected elemental area and the distances x and y. R is the radial distance between the element and the origin, right? You can write down r square dA. Integral r square dA is the polar moment of inertia, and r is nothing but your hypotenuse of right angle triangle. You can replace r square with x square plus y square, and integral x square dA is nothing but your iy, and integral y square dA is nothing but your ix, and j naught you can write down as ix plus iy, which is nothing but your perpendicular axis theorem. Here it is not given, you please note down perpendicular axis theorem. The heading you can note down polar moment of inertia and perpendicular axis theorem. Both are same. Okay. Polar is about perpendicular axis, right? The difference is you are calculating the moment of inertia about x-axis and y-axis. You see that x and y both are lying in the plane of area. You see that z-axis is not lying in the area. Area is in the xy plane. Z is perpendicular. That means polar means it is about an axis perpendicular to the plane of area. That is polar. Okay, roll number 75. I am just waiting for your response. Polar means it is perpendicular to the plane of area. If you write the moment of inertia about x and y, which is in the same plane, x and y is in the same plane, that is moment of inertia. And if you write the moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the area, that is your polar moment of inertia. Okay, you please note down this particular theorem, one very important theorem. Sometimes in examinations is asking for 5 marks. State and prove perpendicular axis theorem. What is the statement? Your last equation, J naught is equals to ix plus iy. That is the statement of your perpendicular axis theorem, or iz is equals to ix plus iy. Moment of inertia about an axis perpendicular to the plane, that is z, is equals to sum of the moment of inertia about x and y, which is in the same plane of the area. That is the statement of your perpendicular axis theorem. Both are same. Okay. So I think we'll stop at this stage. And if you have any queries, you please. So parallel axis theorem we'll discuss in next class and we'll solve some problems out. Okay. So this is your polar moment of inertia. You please note down another title, perpendicular axis theorem. Both are same. Both are same. I am stopping at this stage. We'll discuss in next class parallel axis theorem and followed by problems. Okay. So this is one of the simplest chapter and simple mathematics you have. Okay. Integration. Simple integration. This is less of mechanics and more of mathematics, I can say. Less of engineering mechanics and more of mathematics. You'll be selecting the elemental area and you are integrating. That's all. Like that, very similar to your centroid. More of mathematics, less of mechanics. Okay. So thank you for attending the session. I am stopping at this stage. And the strength I am observing very less, 50 only. I don't know why people are not attending. Your second mid exams will be along with your end examinations. Okay. Morning you have end exam followed by second mid examination. You have third mid examination also after your end examinations. And those who are willing to write third mid, those who want to improve the score, they can write third mid after the end examinations. Second mid is along with your end examinations. That is in the probably next week, second week of next month. Yes, I'm observing some questions. Yes, problems in this chapter depends on previous chapter. It's integration. No, in this, no, I'm telling you very clearly, there is no such concept in this. Integration only. You are selecting the elemental area. Simple mathematics, I am telling you, it don't depend upon previous concept. It is only, it don't depend on any concept. Don't depend on any concept. Simple integration. How to say? It's mathematics. Simply, it's mathematics. Okay. You have next month of first week, probably second week you have your end examinations. Along with the end examinations, you have your second mid also. Okay. Morning end exam, afternoon mid exam, and third mid exam. Those who want to improve the mid examination performance, they can write third mid examination that will be conducted after second mid examinations, probably along with your practical examinations, practical end examinations. Okay, so we have 1 month to go, and comfortably we can complete the syllabus, so no need to worry. So from fourth unit onwards, we'll be moving at a faster rate. After completion of your mid end examinations, so you have your lab end examinations. Okay. So I'm stopping at this stage. So somebody is Aditya asking some questions. What is that? One subject exam is conducted during the semester exam. Yes, exactly. Whatever you have, engineering mechanics end exam morning and afternoon same subject exam mid exam. Yes. Abhinav, 56. Morning end examination engineering mechanics. Let us say afternoon you have a same subject mid exam also. That means mid exam syllabus is 4, 5, 6. End exam syllabus is all 6 units. Right? Your preparation will be same, common preparation. Okay. Yes. Lab examinations will be after end examinations. Yes. Your second mid and end examinations both will be most likely in the second week of April next month. You have 1 month only. You have 1 month for your end examinations. Okay. Yes, Pawan is asking something. Yes. Not two subjects, same subject, end exam and mid exam. Same subject you have morning and evening. After this class, I'll send you PPTs by evening. Okay, not now. Now it's already 4:30. I'll send by evening. Okay. I'll keep in your class group and the numbers. I have few numbers with me of your classmates. I will forward to them also. You please in turn you forward to all the students of Srinidhi Mechanical. Okay. All right.